No, of course you are, bro.
Hey. Forgot to turn the light on. What a goof. I know I'm 10 minutes early, but rather be early than late, as they say. There he is. Old Jeffrey Diddlefingers. I know I'm a little late. I mean, early. Jeffrey, a little late. A little early. I don't know. Was bored, I guess. Really not much going on here. The house is actually almost quiet. Free. How was everything? That is a great question. I don't know. I sent out some invites. Tired. A little tired, but I'm gonna get ready and energized and hopefully push through it. The concert was good. It was last minute. So originally my brother had sent out he had some extra tickets to go with a friend of his, and the friend couldn't make it. So at like the last possible concert, and I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, you want to go see Stone Temple Pilots? And I was like, I guess. I mean, I don't know. And then he's like, yeah, the show is at 7, so you've got like 3 hours to get here. And I'm like, okay. Here where? He's like, oh, the show's in Bangor, 2 hours away. So we saw Dorothy, Stone Temple Pilots, and Godsmack.
Okay, how did you get the side-by-side angles like this?
I don't know.
I've been trying to get this mess for the longest time. I ain't got it yet.
I don't know. I didn't do anything special. I just sent out the invite, and bada bing, bada boom, here you are.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy. I've been trying to get this angle the whole time, and every time I try to do it, it gives me the little box with the box under, and yeah, gives the divided box on the side. Put it that way.
Jeffrey.
Sorry if I lean out of the view, y'all. I'm eating.
I know I'm a little bit early. You know.
Oh no, you're good. I was still getting set up when you sent the thing.
Mm-hmm. Boy, do we got a lot to talk about, though.
Why? What happened?
Well, we got the Crossroads to cover.
Yeah, I got you.
We've got some. We got some filming updates coming.
This.
There's not really a lot going on the super secret project. And we're going to read a chapter of Without Saying Goodbye as well.
Oh, there it goes. Sorry about that. Something popped up on the bottom of the screen. It had the settings. I can't see everybody's comments in case anybody says anything. Sorry about that. Get back to what you were saying.
You want me to start there so you can wrap up what you're doing? You want me to?
Oh no, I'm ready now. I'm good. I don't even know what I was doing. I'm distracted. So I was eating and I'm trying to closing everything out so I can get ready. What was I doing right here? Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get that other thing set up, so in case anybody wanted to hear the prologue or chapter 1 of Crossroads. Man, I am ecstatic about Crossroads, y'all. I'm not kidding. I don't even think I've been this excited about one of my own personal books that I put out in a long time like this. Like, I'm pumped. I ain't lying.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about it. Pretty excited about it too.
I think a big part of me is really excited because of the fact that I get to write about the legend of Crossroads. Because I had actually been contemplating this year on when to release a Crossroad legendary story, and now I got my chance. Which I'm still going to write another one that I had in mind. It's going to be way different, but still, because you can never write too many of those because they're always different. So I mean,
Right.
oh, that's me. Yeah, I got the camera set up differently today. I just realized it was today when I realized I always put it in a corner. I never understood why I don't just put it in front of me. Oh, man.
I finally have a tripod, so for the longest time, like, how I would do it was I would, like, open up my laptop and lean my phone against my laptop. That's how I did it for ages. And then somebody gifted my wife this tripod, and she's like, well, it doesn't really work for my phone, so she gave it to me. So
Nice. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do some shares real quick. Get this thing going.
Uncle Ted, how we doing? I think Marianne said she's getting smoked out. Ah.
Yeah, I was just noticing that. What's going on, Marianne?
We know what you're up to, Marianne.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I actually had me a drink last night. I hadn't done that in so long. God, I couldn't remember the last time I had one. I actually had a club cocktail. I drank a pink lemonade flavor last night. It was actually pretty neat. I mean, I didn't get drunk. Like, I don't drink like that no more. I used to. Oh my God, when I drank that drink, but I can't do that no more. I drink for just for the piece of it. You know what I mean? Just like a one, pretty much, maybe two, depending on the percentage, and then just chill. Come up with some new ideas when I do it.
There you go. I gave it up years ago.
Yeah, like I said, it's once in a while. It's just to hang around, It's just, and I always do it when I'm alone. I don't, it's for fun. Nothing wrong with it as long as you're careful. Used to when I did it, I had to go to a whole nother world with it. I'm not sure all what you can say on things. That's why I'm trying to be careful. I'm on your live. In my live, I probably wouldn't care. But I don't know what all you can say anymore. So
the censorship on this app is unreal. I think I told this story before, but I was drinking a sparkling water and I got a strike for it.
God almighty. That's why
So-
I won't. Yeah. That's why I won't eat nothing. I won't show nothing what I'm drinking. I don't know what they're going to do 1 minute. And, honestly, if it wasn't for the books, and, of course, you guys up here, I wouldn't care. I really would not care. Shut me down. I don't care. But this is the best app, the only really true app that I use for books, and I got some of the best book friends on this app. So, yeah, I try to watch my attitude and try to woosah. And if it weren't for that, I wouldn't care.
Fair enough. So just like bubbly sparkling water, I held up the can to take a drink, and it flagged me for it. And I was like, there's no alcohol in it. It's freaking water.
That's crazy. Oh,
I know.
Welcome in, everybody.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm Clarence Carter. You may know me from here and there and everywhere else. I wrote a book called Ruin. We're going to talk about this a little bit, I assume. We're going to get a chapter of Without Saying Goodbye. I'm going to read that by demand from Bree. And Redacted Tales, my collection of short stories. These are the 3 that I have up here. I actually have like 10 more or something crazy. Jeffrey, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Hey there, Bree. I just know she said, hey, Jeff. So, I'm indie author Jeffrey Harris, writer of different things. I'm a multi-genre writer. My latest book is, of course, Melvin's Labyrinth. sorry about that. Emotional sci-fi psychological thriller. So yes, definitely. If y'all are interested in that stuff, oh my God, please help me out. I really would love to get this book out there. This is the one book that I'm pushing a lot. I'm also currently writing for Stephanie James Publishing. My version's so far I haven't come up with another way of changing it. So far, I'm just going to call it Crossroads. Me and Stephanie were talking about it just the other day, and she said, well, because you liked First Move, because that was one of the originals I was thinking, like going by First Move. And then she said, well, you can always go with First Move Crossroads. And I'm like, yeah. But I'll probably stick with Crossroads. But I might even let everybody vote on it and see what they think.
I already told you how I feel about putting more moves in this series.
Yeah, I'm thinking about leaving it be, and just since you jumped into Ruin, I'll jump into Crossroads. I'm thinking that'll be pretty nice.
We have enough moves, and it's confusing as it is. Like, I don't think adding more to it is a good idea. I think we should stray the titles a little bit, but I did threaten to drown you in the toilet if you added move to the title.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you saw it in the. Yeah, exactly. Brenda said no more moves, no more.
Yeah. Well, right now, so far, unless y'all think I should change it up again, I'm just thinking Crossroads, not the Crossroads, just Crossroads, straight up Crossroads. Yeah.
I like it. I also like it because it's sort of a double entendre, because I know at least what's going on from what you've sent me so far. I know that it's about the Crossroads and the myth and legend, but also your character is at a crossroads in his life as well. Exactly, so it works as a double entendre, which I think is a great idea when it comes to single word titles. I think they should be double entendres more often than they're not. And I think you did it well. I like to think I did it well with Ruin. And I like to think that Shay did it well with Sour.
Yeah. With this book, Crossroads, too, by the way, guys, this book's going to be psychological, too. So, and of course, I'm really impressed, because I love psychological thrillers. Honestly, for me, I love reading them. I love writing them. I mean, I get a thrill out of both. So, and I was told, not just by one person, I've been told in the last couple of years that every time someone has read either A Soulless Death or The Novelist in the Lake House, I have been told numerous times, stick with psychological thrillers. That's your thing. Just work on your edit a little bit, which, of course, I'm doing that now, and I've gotten a whole lot better with my editing. Oh, my God. I was actually going through some of my older books and newer ones. I'm like, man, you can really see with each book, you can see the climb of the ladder. It's like I'm climbing each one. It's like, man, he's doing better. But psychological thriller is definitely my go-to. But this book's going to be a psychological thriller, of course. It's going to be a little bit of like hard times on a character. And then you got some very creepy folklore that's going to be buried in this book. So we got 3 different big genres rolled up into one. But it's going to come off of y'all's books so cleverly. Because I've read through the books thoroughly, took some notes. I got them in my notebook. I've been taking notes on some of the things that I got planned to feed off of each book. I think everybody's going to love it. I really think so, but time will tell.
I hope so. Hopefully. So where we're at on my projects, give you a little update, I guess. I have been working on the screenplay for our next short film, which we plan to shoot hopefully late this month or somewhere about there. Coming to the end of all the rewrites, there are a couple of things left that we want to change, but
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I watched your video the other day. I was a little late on. I had actually started on, and then I had, no offense or anything, don't take it personal. I forgot never went back to finish because the day I started on it, some stuff came up and went out and got some grass cut, some other things came up. Next thing you know, I never got back on the check, and then it was on the back burner, and then I was like, man, I really need to be watching this. I need to be supporting. So I've watched that and a few other videos you got on the Redacted Tales channel, and I actually did some listening to some of the audio things. I'm going to go back and do some more here later, but man, I really enjoyed it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was actually watching that video, the one with the radio. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, I'm not saying this because I know you. I'm not saying it because I get along with you and you're cool and all. I mean, even if you were a stranger, let's say I came across it, I would be amazed. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, wow. I have seen low budget movies put more money in and be god awful talent, god awful camera view, I mean, everything is just But yet this, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, dude, they can go somewhere with this. Seriously, the acting wasn't bad. It was pretty decent. It was pretty good actually, and the camera views was. I was amazed. I'm like, man, this is really good. It looks like y'all put some money into that camera views, in my opinion, the camera footage or quality. Quality is the word I'm looking for. Like a little bit of money got put into that. This wasn't no cheap, you know. I don't. I mean, I could be wrong, but it didn't seem like it to me. And I'm kind of picky with quality, sort of. I don't bash it, but you know what I mean. You know, I can be picky with it though sometimes.
Sure. Yeah, we have a pretty decent camera. I think it's called a Black Magic or something, and the actors have experience, have a fair amount of experience. So, is there any hints on the super secret project? As of right now, I'm not really. Not a lot's changed in it. I'm moving slowly. I don't expect it to be ready until next year, maybe. Unlike Jeff or Shay, I'm not a fast writer like that. I'm way too busy to tap out 3,000 words a day or whatever you guys are doing. I don't have that.
I don't think it's that I'm a fast writer. It's just the ideas are always cooking. So basically, when I go to sit down, all I'm doing is just jotting down what's already there. You know, it's just that's all I am. It's all I'm nothing but. I mean, if you know, like the old saying, like if you prick someone's skin instead of getting blood out of me, if you prick my skin, the letters and words will start coming out. Yeah. To gain knowledge from me, it's one of those things where if you pick a hole and you, like a brain sucker, you would gain knowledge of book ideas. That's all you would get out of me. That's all I'm good for.
Oh, come on now. Yeah, I do have a bit of a life outside, unfortunately. I work a full-time job. I have a wife and a kid and, family that I take care of. And some of our writer friends are full-time writers, and I'm not. I've normally only got a couple hours a day, if that, to really hammer it down. I'm also a makeup artist and a filmmaker, and God knows what else the hell I'm up to these days. Which I haven't done makeup in. I haven't done any makeup in quite a while.
I haven't seen you do any lately.
Yeah, I just haven't had the time.
Back before I really started talking to you a lot, I'd come across some of your videos. They would come across the book. You know, here's the crazy part. I have to go look for your stuff now. Back when we didn't talk as much, like once in a while, I might say something, or we see each other when we were on impromptu. Sure. Man, I saw your footage a lot. It's like it was on my, whatever you want to call it, algorithm. It was there. Mm-hmm. Now that I talk to you all the time, I can't find your stuff. I'm like, what? So I got to go looking for it. Darn it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the social media gods have never favored me at all. Yes, Ruin is available. It's on the website. It's on the Zon. I think it's on Stephanie's website too. I also recently put together a book box bundle. So now, if you go onto my website, onto the online store, you can buy all 4 collections of short stories together. It's going to cost me a fortune to ship it, but
Stephanie James has done a better job than that book publishing company that I work with. I ain't lying. She sent me the thing yesterday. Was it yesterday or it was Friday? I think it was Friday. The information for like my profile, the portfolio thing, the update on books and everything. I'm like, wow, you did so good. Not misspelled. When Fulton Books was doing my stuff, I had to go back up. Well, you spelled my name wrong. You got this wrong. This was wrong. I should have known right then from the start that if you couldn't even spell my name right, that it's going to be, this is going to be a bad direction. I just, like I said, I take the blame for some of this stuff, but honestly, I think if it weren't for my mom at the time period, I would have done more research and I would have backed out and went somewhere else. But because of that, I felt reluctant to hurry. But I don't know. It's one of them things. You don't know.
Amy's Stephanie James book came out this week. I told you the title the other day, but for the life of me, right now...
it looks very interesting.
Yeah, when I need it, it's gone. But Amy, go ahead and shout out your book in the diddly-doos. Let's see. I think I'll do the reading. Oh, there it is, the Marlowe Rose. Yeah. So she's a part of the SJ family as well.
Who's she? Oh, I heard something about who she's following, but I forget. What book are you coming off of, Amy? I forget. I don't know if I saw it on the post or someone told me, or if it was her that told me, but I done forgot already.
Through the Rift.
Through the Rift. Through the Rift. The Rift. The Rift. I'm trying to remember. No, I don't have that one yet. I'm gonna get it though. I'm not actually gonna get all of them. I got some other ones the other day. Stephanie James had some of them up there that were free. I went ahead and downloaded them on the Kindle, so I'm gonna check them out.
Yeah. So if you're, it is hot in here. So if you're interested in that stuff, we're all sort of connected in the Stephanie James universe somehow or another, and I'll get to the rest of them at some point.
I like the way she did this. It's fun. I like feeding off another author. Because honestly, it takes a lot of skill in a way. It can really show you what this author can do. And how you could just pick up off of someone else's work, whether it be based off a character, a plot line, location, or just pick up where someone else ended it, or you could pick up in the middle. Like, for example, you could take a certain happening that happened in the middle of this book, and where this author went this direction, this author goes, hey, I'm going to start in that spot, and I'm going to go this direction with it. So, it's pretty cool. I like it.
I think for now, if everybody's ready, I'll knock that reading out of the way. So it makes me the most nervous, and I just kind of want to be done with it. I don't like reading in front of people.
Me neither, to a degree, but I've gotten so comfortable with everybody on here, I can do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that book. Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess. Since you asked so nicely, Bree, this is for you. Oh, it's fucking hot in here.
I don't know. With the way you were talking about with the sparkling water, I'm drinking a root beer, and I'm scared to put that in view. So if y'all see me doing this, I'm taking sips of a root beer, and I don't know what it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think when you jump on and do your reading, I'm gonna have to go grab a bottle of water because I'm dying. Even with this window open over here, I'm fucking dying in here. All right.
Oh wow.
Enough.
That sucks.
Enough yammering. Chapter 1. When they got up to me, I'd been lying in bed crying for hours. Door splintered as they burst into my room. They blew in, 2 of them, larger than life. At first they were just massive shadows, nothing more. The rampant pounding of my heart rang through my ears as I rolled off the bed. The first one, bald and uglier than a Christmas sweater, got kicked in the stomach. It didn't stop him for long. I tried to jump over the bed and spring for the door when the second guy caught my foot. A long face with bloodshot eyes stared back at me as he pulled. The blanket slid beneath me. As we wrestled, I tried to get the bald one into a headlock. With both of his hands on the bed, I had a slight advantage, allowing me to pound his face a few times. They were bigger than me, and I had no illusion I'd win. The second one jerked my arm behind my back. Before he could get them into the resting position, I elbowed him in the nose. Unfortunately, he didn't bleed. I kicked and pleaded for help. Somewhere, down the hall, my brother, Freddie, screamed. I prayed my father would come ripping through the door with his gun, but the longer I went on, the more that hope disappeared. Neither of them wore uniforms or badges, and sure as hell didn't look like cops. For a second, I thought they might be undercover, but that didn't make sense either. There weren't any cuffs. They didn't say I was under arrest or read me my rights. Neither of them had I got flagged already. I was under arrest or read me any rights. Neither of them had flashed a warrant or anything. Rolling over, I managed one final kick. Not against the bald guy, but at his long-haired counterpart. The bottom of my foot collided with his chin, tossing his head back. The noise that had escaped his mouth was a guttural and ferocious sound. After the fight of my life, they finally got control and dragged me out of the bedroom. Freddie stood at the end of the hallway, tears pouring down his face. My father had his arms wrapped around Freddie, holding him back. He wasn't trying to help. Not only did he know they were coming, but he'd called them. Somehow I knew it. My brother screamed, "Let him go!" He pivoted and pounded my father's chest. "Make them stop!" His shrill voice pierced my ears. "Make them stop!" Using what little weight I had, I rammed one of them into the wall. It worked, but aside from knocking a picture to the floor, nothing came of it. He grunted and regained control. I jerked and pulled, trying to break free. "Who are you?" Glass crunched below my heel. A shattered picture of our family lay on the floor, the perfect metaphor. As we marched outside, my father followed. "They're taking you away for a little while, Adam. It's for your own good." "It doesn't feel like it's for my own good." If I could have hit my father too, he would have gotten the worst of it. They dragged me toward a white van, and I tried to run again. It had been the worst day of my life, and I figured there'd be consequences, but I didn't expect that. I didn't think two strangers would kidnap me. "What the hell did you do to me, Dad?" The door rolled open, and they slung me inside. Through the tinted windows, I saw my brother and father standing on the lawn. Freddie continued screaming. His hands were clamped over his ears, and tears ran down his face. "Adam, please stop, Adam!" His voice pounded into my skull like a nail. Snot ran in rivulets down his lip. Drawing back my head, I slammed it against the window, hoping it would break. I tried again, to no avail. Rolling sideways on the seat, I laid down and tried to kick it free, but it didn't budge. A cage separated the back seat from the front, which meant I couldn't reach them. The cage rattled as I kicked it. "I'm going to get you, mother effers! You're going to pay!" Blurry-eyed and angry, I tossed threats at them until my voice went hoarse. I threw myself at the cage like a trapped animal until everything hurt. If the insults and threats roused them at all, they showed no sign. Exhausted from my efforts, I laid down. When I thought the worst day of my life couldn't get any worse, it did. Inside, I felt broken beyond repair. A long time passed as I laid there, staring at the van's cloth ceiling. The subtle hum of the tires resonated in my skull. It even outdid the classic rock station on the radio. Sitting bolt upright, I demanded, "Where are you taking me?" My kidnappers glanced at one another. When I decided they weren't going to tell me, I punched the cage, breaking the skin on my knuckles. "Tell me, you suckers! Tell me now!" Rather than answering, they turned up the radio. I punched the cage again, drawing more blood. I kicked it several times, literally rattling their cage. After what felt like an hour, I regained my composure and laid down. Denial drifted, making way for acceptance. Everyone thinks it won't happen to them, until it does. Rock and roll guitars filled the van, accompanied by the sounds of the highway. Outside, trees whizzed by. Between us, the projector whirs, flickering twilight on the screen. We have the little drive-in to ourselves. We always have the drive-in to ourselves because it's been closed for 2 years. I can't focus on the movie, only her. The gaunt face that hasn't known a smile in a long time. Makeup that runs more than it stays. Does it get better? The urge to kiss her passes momentarily. I can't make it better. When I look up again, the sun has vanished, leaving behind a network of stars. The volume on the radio came down, but the two men remained stoic. If they'd taken any damage at all in our brawl, I couldn't tell. The urge to kick out the window fled because I'd accepted my fate. I'm getting what's coming to me. Had I kept my word, things would have ended differently. If only I'd kept my promise. Pushing myself up from the seat, my hand landed in a wet spot where the cushion had absorbed my tears. I stared out the window, trying to determine where we were going. Nothing looked familiar. I deserve this, whatever it is. A man came over the radio, discussing the weather. He mentioned a handful of towns I'd never heard of. I pressed my memory, searching for the answers that seemed light years away. My thoughts were scattered, and I didn't think I'd ever recover them all. The bald man looked over his shoulder and said, "We're almost there." Part of me wanted to ask where, but I knew better. They wouldn't tell me. Gravel popped below the tires as we descended a dirt road. Looming trees crowded the road, blotting the sky. We'd been driving for much too long for it to be New Hampshire. I hadn't been paying attention to see if we'd gone north or south. I cursed myself for that mistake. We passed a sign that read Bradbury School. If I had my cell phone, I'd have searched it, but it sat on the nightstand, where I was certain it would remain long after the battery died. My father wouldn't touch it. Although I couldn't be sure, I didn't think Freddie would either. My father's voice ran through my head. "It's for your own good. F you, it's for my own good." The road turned and opened up to a handful of buildings that didn't look like a school, but more like cabins at a summer camp. In the front was a baseball hoop that looked brand new. One building in the center stood much larger than the others. Even before the van stopped, I knew it wasn't like the brochures they hand out at school. I wasn't foolish enough to think my father sent me somewhere nice for rest and relaxation. Not after all I'd done. A man approached with a clipboard in his hand. The slim, balding man fixed his wire glasses on his face and stopped at the side of the road. Something about him made me uneasy. Although he didn't look particularly threatening, he scared me. Before we got out, the man with hair said, "Don't try anything stupid." The bald man got out, nodded to the man in glasses, and pulled open the door. I stepped out. With both of them so close, I stood no chance of escaping. Even if I did run, I didn't know where I'd go, because I didn't know where I was. Adjusting the clipboard so he could read from the nearby light, he said, "Adam DeLuca, I presume?" I nodded. He lowered the clipboard to look at me. "Welcome to Bradbury School. My name is Mr. Sanborn. I'm in charge here. You're here because your choices have brought you here. We're fully committed to rehabilitating you. If you should get the urge to run away, we will find you." Rehabilitation? This doesn't look like any rehab I've ever heard of. He might have read my mind. It's a school, not a rehab, Mr. DeLuca, although it isn't uncommon for some of our alumni to struggle with narcotics prior to their stay here. As he continued his speech, my eyes stumbled upon a small shack with smoke rolling out of it. Two beady eyes stared back at me from the shadows. They really were prepared for runaways. Grabbing my arm, Mr. Sanborn nodded to the bald mother effer. "I've got it from here. Thank you." Checking over my shoulder, I watched as the van slid down the dirt road and out of sight. There were a couple of cars in the lot, not too far from the basketball hoop. Otherwise, the place looked deserted. Most of the lights in the smaller buildings were off. Our first stop wasn't an administration building like I expected. He didn't show me directly to my bunk either. Instead, we went to the showers where he forced me to strip down and take a delouse shower, which is something they do in prison. Cold water splashed my head, sending shivers rippling through me and raising goose flesh on my skin. I scrubbed at the gritty powdered soap with nothing but my fingers. Mr. Sanborn stood behind me, checking the clipboard. Over the bellowing water, he hollered, "Your program is for 1 year. Until then, do what I say. You're not here for a luxury retreat. You're here because you screwed up and I have to help you fix it. Do you understand? Being screamed at is bad. Being screamed at naked is worse." All right. Now I can answer some.
Twice I've heard that chapter, I think. 2 or 3 times, and I love it. No, it is twice. Once was on my live, and then just, I love that chapter. Man, that is a good chapter. I still remember the first time you read that chapter, I asked you, wait a minute, was that chapter 1? Because chapter 1 is so strong. I mean, I'm not meaning in a good way. Like, it tells you what kind of book you're about to be involved in, you know? And I love it. Chapter 1 can sometimes be, sometimes you want to focus hard on the first chapter because you really want to keep those people reading. You know, like open to the book, especially if you're someone new, fresh like we are. Somebody goes to give you a chance, they might only want to do 2 or 3 pages, so they want to test it. And if it's just so plain-o, you know, but if you could kind of throw it out there like what you got with Without Saying Goodbye. I don't know a person in the world, especially that likes that type of book, that would read a couple pages, well, yeah, he's okay, and set it down. I don't know anybody would do it unless they're in a wicked hurry, but I can see them now, everybody, yeah, okay, and they're going to keep going, they're going to go to the next page, and then the next thing you know, they got 4 or 5 chapters in it.
I have spoken at great length about this book with Brenda and Marianne, because we did a live a while back now, and we talked about Without Saying Goodbye. Show you the cover again. It's called Without Saying Goodbye. But the reason why it starts where it does is because, like, when I was doing the research for this book, I noticed that a lot of the kids' stories that went into the troubled teen industry, a lot of them started like that. Specifically, the school that I did most of my research on. I did look at other schools too, but mostly one. And a lot of the stories of the kids started exactly like that. And I was like, you know what? It is kind of like jumping in head first. I get that. But I thought if I did it correctly, I thought I could do it right if I did it in a certain way. So I did most of my research off of a school called Elon, and it's here in Poland, Maine. It's been shut down since 2006, I think. They did.
I love it. I like the way you started out with Ruin as well. Ruin is the first official book that I've read through you, other than hearing you read chapters and such. So, Ruin is the first official book that I finished. And, yeah. And if I had never known you, for example, if you were just an author that I knew was up here and I just never really socialized or got a chance to get to know you or what, and I read that, I'd have been contacted like, yep, I'm a fan now. Just like with Mike Minicky, I hadn't read any of his stuff until I read Next Move. I think it was Next Move.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I'm sold. It was pretty good. I was really enjoying it. I'm like, very good book.
I've read The Twins by Mike, and I've read that one. Are you in a?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Ruin. I wasn't sure which complete direction you were going. Of course, I said in the review that I left, I didn't want to say a certain something because it could be a spoiler. Because I felt like it would be a spoiler, so I kept my mouth shut. But I really liked the direction you went with it because honestly, I didn't see that coming, but I knew. I'm going to say this in case anybody hasn't read it. I'm going to say a certain somebody I knew had to have something to do with a certain something. I kind of had that from the very get-go. I mean, maybe I wouldn't say full on, but I was wondering. Let's put it that way. I speculated it very early on. Just like with Shay's last move, I speculated right away at the beginning. So,
also, I now noticed that Ruin actually kind of starts off at a pretty heavy pace too. Like Ruin, you kind of jump right into the action.
Right into it. Yep.
So before you do your reading, I assume you're going to do. No. Ruin is not The Twins. My book is called Ruin. Mike Minicky's book is called The Twins. And I've read it, and I read his other book, whatever move book that he wrote, whichever one that is.
Yeah, his was Next Move.
Yeah, Next Move.
Because the order was Your Move by Danielle Maya, if I'm saying her name correctly. Then it was Mike Minicky's Next Move. Then we went into Shay's Last Move. Then we went to Wrong Move with Kristen, and then you jumped in there with Ruin. And now I'm going to be coming in there, and I'm going to try to make my book follow everyone. Basically, it's going to connect into a circle. Basically, like that old saying, how's that old saying goes? The one with... I can't remember how it goes now. It's not like the old saying where everything comes around, and that's kind of what this book's going to do. It's going to kind of come around everything. It's hard to explain it. The book will explain it very well. You'll catch on. As soon as you read those other ones and you sit down and read this one, it's going to click and play just like that.
Awesome. I got one story to tell. If you're going to do your reading.
Oh yeah. No, go ahead. You can tell the story. Sure.
So
thank you.
I'm gonna have to.
Brenda, come full circle.
I'm gonna have to move you guys though. You guys are gonna have to come with me. See this piece of art right here? Yeah. Sort of a spaceman, whatever. Okay, so that is my real life connection to Elon School that Without Saying Goodbye is based on.
Okay.
Okay, so when I was doing the research for this book, Without Saying Goodbye, type it in your doodly-doos, write it down, do whatever you got to do, put it in your wish lists. I came across an article about a former cop who had helped a kid escape from the school. And he had kept it a secret for his entire police career, basically. So he kept it a secret for like 40 years. He didn't come forward until after he retired. And he went to our local paper called the Sun Journal. And he said, hey, this is the story. This is what happened. I helped a kid escape Elon. I knew it was a bad place. There wasn't anything I could do. But I took him to a truck stop. And I told him, run. I told him, don't ever come back. And he had gone under the fake name Officer Smiley. But when he came out under his real name, His name was Max Ashburn. And when I read that, I was like, that name sounds crazy familiar to me. And I was just like smacking my head off of the desk trying to figure it out. One day I started talking to my grandmother. I said, that name sounds familiar. Do you know it? And she's like, oh yeah, I know who that is. In fact, we have a drawing upstairs done by Max Ashburn. And it's been in your bedroom since you were 6. That drawing was done by Officer Smiley, who set a kid free from Elon School. And it has been in my childhood bedroom most of my life, up until my grandmother passed away. I moved it into my office. Actually, I think I moved it in a little bit before that. But so I have a real life connection to Elon School.
That's awesome.
So after he was done being a cop, he went to work security at a bowling alley. And my grandfather also worked at that bowling alley, and he gave that picture to my grandmother.
That is awesome. I like that. That is so cool. It feels like part of the story right there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't really have a way to fit it into the book itself, but... Yeah, unfortunately, he passed away. He's no longer with us. He passed. I can't remember if he passed in like 18, 19. He passed before the pandemic.
Wow, that's crazy. That's really neat. Did you write anything in the book stating about like a little whatever you would call it, some kind of like a diary of it or something? You know what I mean? Like I'm not the word diary, but like an, I don't know the word I'm looking for. I'm jammed over here, but something that revolves around where you explain to the readers or anything. I was curious, like have an artwork in it. It would have been really neat.
Not about this. No, I could have. Maybe I should have. But I do have an introduction. And when I was deep dived with Marianne and Brenda, I said that the introduction to this book is probably the most important part. And I think that still holds true. I'll read it to you because it's pretty quick. It's just one paragraph, but it says, Introduction. As you can imagine, writing a book about the troubled teen industry wasn't easy. The most heartbreaking part about this is that these places still exist. They aren't a relic from the past. Some are still operational today, abusing children under the guise of rehabilitation. They may have pleasant names and beautiful brochures, but they're sinister. After doing the research it took to write this thankfully fictional book, I couldn't imagine sending a child to a place like Bradbury. Thankfully, I never went to one. My heart goes out to those who did.
Nice.
Yeah. So, it's a dark subject. It's kind of...
Yeah. Now when I go to read that book, I'm going to think about the picture now. Can I stand up? Why do you want me to stand up, Bree?
That's an odd request.
Yeah. Sorry, I was waiting to see what she was saying. I forgot what I was going to say.
I think she's trying to read your shirt, maybe.
Oh, the shirt. Oh.
I think she wanted to check to see if you have pants on.
Yeah, right as well. I was. Oh, wait, you know what? The mirror mode's not on here, so you're not going to be able to see it good.
Yeah,
But
it says, I need TP for my bum hoodie hole.
Yeah. I need TP for my bunghole. Yeah.
What did you feel like reading today? Melvin? Or the new one?
Whichever y'all would like to hear. Sorry, y'all going to see some long hair. I can give y'all the prologue or chapter 1 of my Crossroads, or y'all can hear chapter 1 of Melvin's Labyrinth, and I also got the other following books behind me. Y'all can't see them, but Crossroads, Melvin. Okay, we've got Melvin and Crossroads. I can do a little of both too. I mean, they're short chapters; they're not long.
Didn't hear that.
All right, I'll hit Melvin first, and then we can do Crossroads. We'll talk a little bit and then do Crossroads if y'all want to do it that way. And Bree said both, so All right, we'll do that then.
Awesome.
actually
I'm going to grab a bottle of water. I've heard Melvin a few times, so I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, you've heard it way too many times. You're not. If you ever sit down and actually read this book, you're going to skip chapter 1. You're like, man,
I'm going straight to chapter 2.
Already. Yeah, just to show y'all that. That's also the chapter heading. My mind's going blank, guys. Sorry. All right, here we go. So, chapter 1, 2021. It was a beautiful late spring day, ideal for driving to the mountains to camp and soak in the beauty of the woods. Melvin had that exact thought in mind when he took a week off work, planning to drive his family to the mountains for a few days of camping in the wild. It was a time they enjoyed nearly every year. It had become a tradition for him and his family dating back to the days when he was a young boy traveling into the mountains with his mother and father. The late spring air smelled of pine resin and impending adventure, a perfect combination for the drive up the winding mountain road. For Melvin, this wasn't just a vacation, it was a pilgrimage. At nearly 40, he still felt like that young boy in the back seat of his parents' station wagon, filled with the quiet thrill at the sight of the towering firs and the promise of a week in the wild. He glanced over at Gloria, his wife, the love of his life for the past 12 years, as she took in the scenery. A flicker of that day 12 years ago crossed his mind. Not the fancy dinners or the milestones, but the quiet cafe where he'd seen her eating alone, the simple courage it took to approach her table, and the incredible, rapid friendship that blossomed into a lifetime. The road unspooled before them, a ribbon of asphalt twisting deeper into the highlands. After 12 years, their silence was practiced and easy, mirrored by the timeless rolling grandeur of the summits ahead. At 6'2", Melvin was a picture of health, his dark hair styled in a sharp, modern fade. With his blue eyes and solid build, he held an imposing presence. His wife, Gloria, brought a vibrant mixed heritage to the pair, a blend of American pragmatism and Brazilian warmth inherited from her military father and South American mother. Dark-haired and glowing from the sun, she pressed the kind of quiet beauty that once commanded a catwalk. Now that same energy was dedicated entirely to her daughter, a hard-won blessing that made her previous life in modeling seem like a distant memory. She and Melvin had delayed having children for some time to focus on her fashion modeling career. When they finally decided to start a family, they endured complications before their daughter Victoria was born. At 9 years old, their daughter Victoria had flowing light brown hair, fair skin, and her sparkling blue eyes added to her charm. She was the embodiment of their love and joy. No matter how many times they visited the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee, the experience never grew old. The camping and hiking remained a constant, thrilling adventure. Melvin never saw it coming, but that day quietly shattered his old life and began a new one. Unable to remember what had unfolded, he sat surrounded by paramedics and firefighters on the side of the road, his SUV smashed by a semi. Whether from the trauma of the impact or the brutal blow to his skull, Melvin's memory had been violently scrubbed clean. He didn't have the faintest idea of what had happened. He was at a complete loss, his nerves undone, and his heart felt as if it were bursting apart. Memory is a vicious thing tearing through his denial to reveal the truth. The ruined SUV, the acrid smoke, and the devastating final silence of his wife and daughter. He screamed for them, haunted by the moment he crawled out alone. On the ride to the hospital, his memory fought through the haze. He remembered the mundane, the banter with his wife, his daughter laughing in the back seat, the Tennessee state line just ahead. Then it flashed, a flash of red. A semi-truck, deafening and unstoppable, running the light and ripping through their sedan at 60 miles an hour. The authorities explained it to Melvin later, their voices detached. The trucker had suffered a massive coronary before the crash. He was already dead or dying when he floored it, transforming a routine trip into a fatal trajectory.
I had that TP for you, Julio.
Someone was talking to him, updating him on the situation, but Melvin couldn't make sense of the words. His head felt like it was splitting in two, with sharp pain at the stitches and a heavy, throbbing lump at the back of his skull. He felt completely untethered. As the reality of the accident tried to surface, it didn't just feel like a memory. It felt like it was happening again, right now. The authority figures vanished as quickly as they had arrived, leaving behind a silence heavier than their words. Immediately, the nurses surged into the room, a flurry of white and blue uniforms meant to tend to the wreckage of the man in the bed. They moved with practiced efficiency, yet their faces held a shared silent pity. They knew the hell he had just survived. the kind of trauma that didn't just break a man, but reshaped him. And they all understood that this single day had just severed his life into before and after. Right.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, Monique was in the chat and she saw your t-shirt and she decided to improvise. I haven't gotten a chance to read your messages, Jason. Not yet. I did see them pop up, but I couldn't read them all. I only saw like the first couple words. I'll check them. Don't worry. Do you guys have any questions about Melvin's? It's fantastic. I've heard the first chapter now 4 times, I think. It's
7.
The first chapter is fantastic. As for the rest of the book, no idea. Haven't gotten to it yet.
I'll go on record to say everyone will like it.
Yeah. I have a lot of fun.
But
that's
one book that I want everybody to go through with a fine-tooth comb and look for any mistakes, because so far as of right now, the only mistake that I found in this book is a period where the sentence is supposed to end the sentence got kind of spaced out. I've seen a lot of other authors that have that happen, so I don't know if it's a typo mistake on the publishing part or what, but that's all I've seen so far. So as far as editing goes, I mean.
Just put it back in the wallet.
I saw that.
Yeah. What was I about to say?
Yeah, Mary she doesn't think she's found any.
Oh, good.
Mistake.
One of the things that we were talking about the other, and I wanted to address this, if we decide to do this more routinely, which I think we should. Maybe we should do ours on Sundays.
Well, I'm down with that.
I don't want to interfere with Mike or Clint and Shay, so I don't want to do it on their days. But anyway, we were talking about cutting teeth. Was it yesterday? Anyway, not important. And you're like, oh, I've already cut mine. And you have. I wasn't around for the early parts of your career, but it looks like you're coming a long way really fast. And do you have anything to say as to how you did it? Was it just a lot of reading and a lot of writing? Or did you have a specific technique as to how you got the way that you are?
Sorry about that. I was reading what Jason... Yeah, Jason, I agree. I definitely agree. I just don't want my books to be piled up like they were at the beginning. I mean, I wouldn't say they were piled up, but you can see where I was... You can see where I was green. So I'm trying to show more professional with the books. I don't mind if someone says, hey, I saw a mistake here, or a little minor, a few of the minor stuff. I just don't want my mistakes to accidentally be where it messes up the story, where you have to keep reading over the sentence because it's confusing you. And that's what some of these publisher or editors did with my first ever book. They confused so many people, it messed up my story because they didn't edit it correctly. They didn't space it out correctly and such. But as far as what you were just asking, Clarence, I guess you could say I don't know how to answer it really. I guess it seems like the more I do, it's like it's coming to me more natural on how to approach it different. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Ever since I turned the corner, which was with Demonic Crusades book, Appalachian Mountains is where it really turned the corner, where it started to space out differently, where I approached it different, the writing style. Then I went a little tad bit different with Demonic Crusades book 2, and then I went to a different direction with Melvin's Labyrinth, and I'm loving this direction. I like the formatting better. I like the editing better. My writing has gotten so much better because I keep working on it and keep studying it. I get on Google all the time and practice sentence structures. And what I mean by that is I get up there and look at examples. I'll get up there and I'll write a random paragraph and I'll look at what it's telling me on how it fits the structure. Because what I'll do is I'll write a random sentence that's not corrected properly, send it to Google, and Google gives me, and they got this whole example. You can take such and such and put, and I'm learning it. I write notes in my notebook, and I'm just learning so much through, and reading other books too. I was reading Mike Menike's, I was reading Kristen's, yours, Shay's, and I've seen some things. And of course, when I read Clint, I saw some things and how y'all, especially in the formatting, is where I was doing a lot of the studying with y'all's books. So I wanted to kind of get an understanding of which direction could be good for myself and which one I like. And yeah, so basically I've been doing a lot of homework.
Yeah. My supporting staff.
Yeah, right.
So I was just curious. I'm always curious, like,
I got an audience, okay? I was beckoned.
yeah.
Doing what I was beckoned for.
I'm always curious, like, what the beginning of writers' careers look like how they cut their teeth, where they, and
Like, here, I'll show y'all another example. I showed this the other night. I don't know if you were on. I'll give you this example. This is from a book publishing company. And do you see what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. They didn't. Okay, you look at that. Now look at Melvin's Labyrinth. Now, this is all me. You see what I'm getting at?
yeah.
They didn't. You look at the two books and you would swear up and down Indie author wrote this or edited this. And not trying to say I'm professional, but you would think a professional edited this one by just. I'm talking about the formatting. I meant not the editing, but the formatting.
Yeah.
And they didn't, and I didn't know these things, man. When I went to that book company, they even told me in the beginning, you just write the rough draft. We take care of everything else. We're the professionals that handle all that. And that's basically what I did. I said, you know what? I'm not even going to worry because I'm paying y'all guys good money. So why should I even try to? I'm just going to write you the rough draft and send it to you. Okay. Yeah. And, it's. See, I mean, they got some of it like in a way that's fine, but it's not. It's just different, And you look at here's how I start with it. The only thing I did different with this book, and I'm not going to do it no more. I changed it up again. When I started my sentence, I went a little too far on the spacing on starting the sentences. Man, it's not that big a deal, but I actually did it intentionally because I wanted to see. I'm testing the waters, but I don't mind it. But I don't. I don't want to make that my permanent thing now because I looked over it when I got it published and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go back to where the space it like 4 spaces over or something.
What did they do?
I love I love the header, by the way.
Oh. Yeah, I know, Jason. No hiring companies no more. That's why I've been on Google. That's why I've been doing a lot of research.
What one did I miss?
I feel so much better on editing now. I feel confident in editing.
I like your header piece. I also have that one's an alien head, and then in Mishka, I think I've shown you before, but it's like a broken mirror, and then it's Mishka all chained up.
Yeah, yeah, Jason, I'm with you on that. I think they're doing that too because I've seen some other books through some of these companies, and it's just I love that. I remember that now, definitely. I love that. That is beautiful.
I'm not as skilled as you, so I can't really do it for myself. I have a few others that I don't know, not all that important, but I hire out for that because I don't really know how to do it myself. I could probably figure it out, but
yeah, I've learned my lesson, Jason. I edit. Book format. I'm not, like I said, I'm not the perfect editor, but Marianne has said it herself. She's near complete with Melvin's Labyrinth, and she has not really seen any mistakes. And I'm not saying there's none in this book, and I don't think you'll find any mistakes in this book. And I'm just showing y'all again in case anybody new popped up. But if you do, definitely let me know. And the reason I really want to know is not that it's a huge deal,
just do.
But it's helping me to learn as an editor as well. So I just want to know what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right, what I could do better. So that way I can continue with the rhythm that I'm going in. So, because I'm feeling more confident I've ever felt my whole life about writing. Like some of my books, I wouldn't say I'm ashamed to show, just the editing wise. The story wise, I will always stand by my credentials when it comes to storytelling and the story or the plots or the characters. The psychological turns, stuff like that, I will always stand by. It's just my editing in my early books. I've been a little but with this book, it don't concern me. Like I'm so overconfident. I feel like in this one, editing wise, considering.
You want me to get a copy and crush your dreams? Because I could probably find something.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I want. I want somebody to see if they can. Definitely let me know. I mean, I want to know if it could be a typo mistake or it was on my part of the, like I said, I'm still learning. I need to know so I know what else to study on.
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to crush your dreams, but I could probably find something. I'm usually pretty good at that.
It probably is. I'm not saying there ain't. I'm sure there is. I'm just wondering where they're at because I haven't seen it myself, and I've been looking through it hard. I have seen one or two mistakes in this, like in the very beginning in chapter 1. There's this line right here. It bothers me every time I thought I'd made the change before I published it. I didn't. It bothers me. And it's probably not a big deal for some people, but to me, hold on one second. Let's see. Right here, where it says, when they finally decided to start a family, they endured complications before their daughter Victoria was born. At 9 years old, their daughter Victoria. See what I mean? I used their daughter Victoria twice, and I don't care for that. I meant to put their daughter and not put her name, or just put Victoria.
Even that's not really a huge mistake.
I know, but it is catching on me because I was notorious in the beginning for doing that a lot, repeating, and didn't even know I was doing it. I had no clue. So now I'm like, I'm glad I'm like that because now it's keeping me to keep my eyes open for that. I don't like that repeating. I'm being repetitive at times.
Yep.
How did I get this fan base? Also, interrupting a little bit. Check my holiday nails. I did these myself. I lost my middle fingers, so that's why you don't get to see them. What are we saying? What? Oh, yeah. I was keeping up in the comments. That's why I hover. When I do this, I'm reading comments. That's what I do. And sometimes I look at Facebook.
So, you guys can't see it, but up here, above where the camera is, I'll turn you around and show you, but I have reference books, and I've read like more than half of these. All of these are about the craft of writing or reference books of some sort. And because I'm such an obsessive nerd about the craft of writing, I've read a bunch of there are some that I haven't. There's like a thesaurus right here, a dictionary, a Bible, stuff like that. But for the most part, the ones about the craft, I've read a lot of those.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's good. I mean, it's just you're enticed to learn, to do better, to write better, you want to be known for good writing and not just he's good. Or you want to be great. That's what I meant to say the first time. But, and that's what I'm trying to get at. I've never in a day of my life ever had anybody dog my story-wise, plots and all that. But the editing, I've had people knock me on that. Say, not disrespectfully, just, says just, you could definitely use some tune-up on your editing. I was, oh, yeah, I agree. Because I see it, but I'm still learning. I just didn't have the money to pay anybody. Not to mention that it's not that I didn't have the money really at that time period when I did Novelist and the Soulless Death. I actually did have the money at that time period, but I was scared to hire anybody to edit because I didn't know a lot of people at that time. And not to mention, I was kind of coming off of that book publishing company, and they were in the back of my mind, and I'm like, I can't do this again. So I said, I'm going to have to learn this on my own. So,
yeah. I also wanted to take an opportunity in case there are any future writers or writers who are trying to find their way in the comment section. I cut my teeth on the short story market. So a lot of people don't know that, but like early on, I intentionally like put myself in harm's way by getting rejected a ton of times by submitting short stories to anthologies, magazines, so on and so on and so on. And I did it for a long time. Just because sometimes you'll get personal notes from the editor, the chief editor or whatever, and they'll say, you did a great job, but this needs work or that needs work. Unfortunately, there's a lot more like automated responses now than there are personal touches, which kind of sucks, but I get it as now that I'm running my own podcast and I have to reject people. I'm like, oh, this is horrible. Like, I want to say nice things, but...
Oh, yeah. Has anybody read the any of the move books, like Wrong Move, Last Move, Next Move, Your Move, Ruin? Has anybody read any of those, just out of curiosity? The reason why I was asking is because it'll make more sense when I go to read the prologue or chapter 1 of Crossroads.
I read Shay's and Mike's. I did the right thing and I took Kristen's and I threw it right in the trash can.
What?
It was sticking to your head.
I'm just kidding.
She ain't here anyway, I don't think.
I don't think she is either. I will read Kristen's. I have it. It's actually on my indie author shelf over there.
Good. It goes in a different direction, and it's really good. She spends a lot more time on the psychological part with Mark, the character. Her writing's really good too. And the thing is, and I actually talked to her. I texted her when I was reading because her book the book itself was great. I was enjoying it, but I was lost, and that's only because it was my fault. I'm sitting there reading, and I got to chapter 9 and dawn. I'm like, oh, Mark, the character from Mike's book, the one that, the 13-year-old that was drinking and acted like he was the tough guy, with the other kids that went into the house. And I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense because it was just, I'd forgotten about the character Mark when I was reading her book, and it had me so lost. And I was like, no, I'm going to keep reading because I loved it, but it was just, I was confused on it. I said, I know it'll unconfuse me later, I'm sure. So I'm going to keep reading. And I told myself, once I get further into it, if I start still having trouble remembering who this is, I'm going to give her a text. And then it hit me. Mark. Oh. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's also a lot of characters when you look at the whole rabbit hole scope. I have not read Daniel Maya's yet.
Yeah, I started on it. I've actually finished chapter 1, 2. I'm either 2 or 3 chapters in.
Yeah. All right.
But Crossroads is actually going to, thanks for the heart, is actually going to revolve around a character Shay created from Last Move, Uncle Fred. So we're going to be, and with my story, we're getting the prequel version. So we're going to go back to the 1930s with my version. So we're going to the hand crank cars and the outhouse back in the day, So, and it's going to take place in Mississippi. In the south of Mississippi.
You really want to check the first chapter of Ruin and Crossroads? Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, she's been begging on you to do Ruin all night.
What do you think, Jeffrey? Should we?
Yeah. My arm is freezing from holding that.
You want me to go first, or you want to go first?
You can go ahead if you like. But it's up to you. You're the host. Yeah, I was saying it right. You make those decisions.
So this is what we've been referencing on and off all night. This is the Prepping Down the Rabbit Hole series. This is my contribution to the series, I guess you'd say. It's called Ruin. I have a handful of the other ones over there, but chapter 1, huh? Also, she did something cool that I really liked, where she put some of my books down here.
So neat.
Yeah.
I love that.
Are you looking for them?
No, I'm trying to actually remember how many books I'm missing out of this series.
Okay, all right, I'll start. So my book, Ruin, breaks off of Shay's book, Last Move. It even tells you in the beginning where they part, and so on and so forth. All right, I'll read chapter 1. Here we go. Baby Bobby's shrill cry broke me from an unrestful sleep. I sat up, scraping the crust from my eyes. Surprisingly, Beverly hadn't woken too. The aches and pains of my early 40s settled in. Each shriek pulsed in my ears. Wanting to get to him before he woke her, I rushed across the floor and lifted him from the crib. All right. Before leaving the room, I glanced over my shoulder to assure she hadn't woken too. Her eyes still closed. mouth partially open, and red, fiery hair sprang across her pillow in all directions, like a frantic string mop after a 72-hour penthouse party. Descending the stairs, I cooed at the baby, rocking him. He protested. Judging by the smell permeating from his diaper, he wanted more than just a bottle. Downstairs, I grabbed the bag and hit the power button on the remote. The TV came to life, broadcasting the 7 o'clock news. I hadn't thought of checking the clock. A blonde woman took over the screen as I laid a new diaper on the changing table. We're coming to you just outside of Old Pine Valley, where local authorities have discovered a cave. Currently, we're awaiting the experts for further information. Here with us is the policeman who discovered it, Officer Dugan. What did you see inside? The cop groaned. There were drawings on the wall. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill graffiti. This looked like something older. I don't dare speculate on who or what may have put it there. The woman glanced at the camera. Like hieroglyphs? He agreed. Yeah, hieroglyphs. All I know is this wasn't punk teenagers. The blonde asked, How did you come across this cave? We've been combing these woods in search of a missing girl, Darla Reynolds. My partner and I were searching through the passage. I can't confirm that she's not in there. We've been thorough with our search. The blonde nodded. Thank you so much for keeping Old Pine safe, and I hope you find Darla soon. Back to you, Michael. Pulling the strap closed on the diaper, I poked Bobby's belly. He'd stopped crying momentarily. It had less to do with the commotion than contentment. What do you say we get some breakfast going, huh, little guy? At that, he made no protest. He slid into the high chair with ease. As I turned my back to grab a bottle from the fridge, I caught a glimpse of the honey-do list. That's when I saw my wife's scrawled letters about interviewing nannies. There were 3 of them who had applied for the position. Oh, right. I almost forgot about that, I muttered, holding the bottle out. He latched on quickly. Just between the 2 of us, I don't know how I feel about having a stranger living here. I wish your mommy hadn't advertised it as a live-in position. A voice arose from the doorway. I don't know how else you expect it to work, Robert. I'm not giving up my career. You're certainly not giving up yours. If we hired help, the poor girl would be coming and going at all hours. It makes no sense to have a full-time nanny it makes more sense to have a full-time nanny than a traveling one. Unlike Beverly, I didn't grow up with a nanny. My parents, David and Cynthia, went without several things. That's why I was so desperate to get my soccer ball back from the Wilburns' house all those years ago. I had begged for a new ball for nearly a year before I finally got it on my 13th birthday. Dad worked long hours as a paralegal before becoming a lawyer just to assure Mom could stay at home with Raya and me. I didn't acknowledge it then, but later looked back at the sacrifices he made. I guess that's why I followed in his footsteps, going to school at night while working at the quarry before finally earning my law degree. Straightening my back, I said, I didn't see you there. She smiled. That's okay. You're going to have to trust me, all right? You'll be glad they're here. You'll thank me. I doubted that. I wouldn't ever say aloud, but I now regretted that I had agreed to her starting at the network. I wanted more of a family like the one I was raised in, but Bev was determined to have the best of both worlds, her career and a family. I had even voiced the idea of having Raya move back in to help with Bobby until he started kindergarten. Bev put that idea to rest as well and said that Ray didn't need distractions while at school, so that leaves me in the present, staring at a nanny-for-hire ad. I slid the thin blanket from the large birdcage, bringing George out of his hibernation. As I did, the sun came through the bay window, highlighting the red, yellow, and blue feathers of George, Bev's macaw parrot. She had the bird before we had met. I have to admit, I had never been fond of the loud avian, but I did enjoy seeing the gorgeous colors as it paced back and forth along the horizontal dowel. I washed my hands as it spread its wings to bask in the morning sun. The coffee pot gurgled to life as I placed a small pan on the stove and cracked some eggs. Did you see that thing on the news? She pulled 2 coffee mugs from the cabinet. What thing? She sat down at the chessboard that we now used as a breakfast table. We had received it from Grandma Claire as a wedding gift. But as our careers took off, and now with Bobby, we rarely pulled the pieces out to play. They made a discovery of some ruins in a cave. She scoffed. Ruins? Like what? Ancient Egyptians? Cave people, probably. Still, that's an interesting discovery for our nowhere town. She agreed. Oh, yeah. She swallowed with her finger in my direction. Don't forget, the first interview will be here at 9. I scheduled them all about half an hour apart. So don't go telling them any of your courtroom war stories there, John Grisham. Ha! Ha! George mocked loudly from his cage. I set Bev's plate before her on the chessboard table and kissed the top of her head. One of the things I loved most about her was that she didn't pull any punches. She didn't hide from how she felt, which made our relationship easier and harder simultaneously. Sitting down, I added, hopefully there won't be too many more war stories. Once I get elected, I'll stop practicing law so quickly they'll put up missing posters in the office. Bobby giggled. I pointed to him in surprise. See that? I already have one vote. In between bites of egg, she said, if you get elected, with a smirk. Gilligan made her way from our bedroom. She ducked her head beneath the tablecloth, making it easy for me to sneak her up a corner piece of the crust from my toast. Apparently, though, not sneaky enough. Robert, Bev said, in her tone that meant we had been caught. No table scraps. It's not healthy for her. Yeah, I replied, in an effort to avoid an argument. Gilligan's gnarled tail stub wagged excitedly as I rubbed her head down to her neck. I had found Gilligan before I had even met Beverly, nearly 20 years ago. She had been hanging out near an open irrigation pipe. With a little encouragement, using my fast food hamburger as bribery, I was able to coerce her into becoming a member of my family, and now our family. There was no use explaining this to Bev, but if Gilligan had found an immunity to aging, I had little doubt a piece of 7 whole grain crust was a worry of hers. After breakfast, I started chores. I continued stealing glances at the TV, hoping for a follow-up story. It had genuinely caught my attention, and I wanted to know what would come of it. Rather than covering that, they did a monologue about gas prices and foreign policies controlling the market. Before I knew it, the first of our applicants rang the doorbell. I grabbed my namesake and wandered to the front door. Gilligan raced me, as she always had to be the first to greet guests. Unlike most dogs, she didn't bark much, which was nice, but she always stood in the way, making it a struggle to open the door. An older woman, holding the newspaper, adjusted her glasses to see the page more clearly. She looked surprised when I opened it. Is this 712 Vine Street? I gave her a half-smile. Yes, it is. Are you here for the nanny position? She nodded. The other thing that made me uncomfortable was that Beverly hadn't given me any information about our applicants, not even their names. Thankfully, years of defending people had given me a handful of social skills. Before stepping inside, she stopped. She grabbed onto the wall and hoisted one leg up with a grimace. Using my free hand, I helped her. Accident back in 98. Bad hip, she said, waddling inside. Sorry to hear that, I said, matching her pace. Gilligan also seemed to pick up on her slight disability and gave her room to walk. With the flick of the button, the TV went black. I knew if I didn't turn it off, I wouldn't be able to pay attention to the interview. I was unsure about the curious draw this discovery had on me, and why pushing the power button was almost painful. Turning it off made me uneasy about the updates, and I reminded myself that I could check it online. Even before we began, I had my doubts. Her age and mobility would be an issue. It wouldn't be long before Bobby turned into a toddler, and I wondered if she could chase him around, or heaven forbid, get to him before he got to the road. These concerns plagued me throughout the interview and eventually sealed her fate. I thanked her for coming and helped her down the step, but I didn't mention any follow-up interview, and she didn't ask. Perhaps she assumed I'd call. During our break, I took the small plastic bag from the standalone cupboard behind George's cage and filled his metal bowl with the familiar brown pellets. He cawed a few times and ruffled his feathers before taking one into the tip of his black beak. I took his matching water bowl, rinsed it out, and replaced it with fresh water. Then he did the same to Gilligan's with her rubber non-slip base. Here you go, girl, followed by 2 pats to her mid-back. The second woman wasn't much better. What she had in youth and vitality, she lacked in hygiene and manners. At one point during the interview, I wondered if I'd have to burn my couch because I didn't think Febreze would cover the stench. Gilligan even seemed to scrunch up her maw before letting out an abrupt sneeze, an uncontrolled way to dispel the smell from her nostrils. I ended it quickly, pretending to be busy and promising to call if I chose her. While waiting for the third interview, I turned on the TV. The expert stood in frame, just before the mouth of the cave. Seismic activity along one of the fault lines could have exposed this cave. A reporter nodded. holding the mic before him. Also, one of the most interesting features that we've discovered about this cave isn't just the artwork. We've discovered human footprints captured in clay. They're slender, which leads us to believe that they may have been a woman or a young adult. Weather may have played a crucial role in their preservation. The doorbell rang. Shutting off the TV, I got up from my seat and wandered to the door where my final contestant awaited. When I opened it, I didn't acknowledge the ease, not realizing it was from the lack of having to push Gilligan aside. I thought Beverly had played a prank on me. The woman standing at the door looked nearly identical to her. If not for a thinner nose and slightly bigger ears, they might have been indistinguishable. I couldn't believe my eyes. Clearing my throat, I said, "I'm sorry to stare. It's just that you look so much like my wife." All right, what did I miss?
If y'all have not yet read Ruin, and you've read Your Move, Next Move, Last Move, Wrong Move, you got to read it. Turns out there's also another book called Final Move. I didn't know it, but I got it up on the Amazon now, so I'll probably try to get it later. But Final Move, it revolves off of Your Move. It kind of goes in a different direction. It's kind of like a choosing path type. I was just reading the blurb on it. It's like a choose your path type book. It sounds like it's going to be pretty interesting, so I'll definitely look into that sometime. Mine, which I'll read it to y'all here in a moment. Mine, in the prologue, picks up in the beginning. Not, I wouldn't say the beginning, but it's hard to explain. It picks up in an early setting of Mike's, and it also revolves around Kristen's in the prologue. And then we go into a character that Shay created from Last Move. So, yeah.
Yeah, mine stands on its own. You don't really have to know the others.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, in a way, yeah, you could read. I don't think they would have to read the others to read you, but it would help, actually. Actually, it would help. It would be better for them to read it, because you do make quite a bit of mentions of Bobby or Robert, whichever you want to go by, of his childhood when he was abducted. So it would be important to read the others. It makes more sense. I mean, you wouldn't have to, but it would. You could get a better thrill out of the book if you did. For example, I'm glad I didn't, because I almost was going to read Ruin first, because I was so excited to read one of your books. And I was like, no. I'm going to start with, kind of went in the order a little bit, even though I forgot to read Your Move first. I actually started on Mike's, but it didn't hurt nothing. And I'm glad I did, because I actually got more off of your book by already reading those. Because if I had started with yours first, I would have liked it, but I wouldn't have the understanding of it as I did by reading the others, if you know what I mean. Like when he mentioned about being abducted when he was a kid, because I guarantee, because I know how I am, I would have been reading that, and because he talked about a witch and such and all that, I'd have been like, dude, I want to hear that. I want to know, you know what I mean? So honestly, it was better that I did it in that way, so it kept me calm.
Awesome. I have A Soulless Death on my TBR. I haven't read it yet, but now I feel like I am very familiar with your writing, because I've listened to everything you've written in the last, week? Something like that. So I'm pretty familiar with that.
There was a friend up here, she told me just a couple of days ago to stick with psychological thrillers. She said, Soulless Death, she said it could use a little more editing. She said, but I'm not bashing you. And I said, no. I told you at the beginning my editing wasn't so good with that book. She said, I love the way you twisted and turned that book all the way through. She said she thought she had it figured out early on, and then I threw some twist at her. She had some, okay, I know what you're doing with this character, and I know what's going on with this character. And then she said when she got a little bit further, it threw her for another loop. She said, okay, he's not doing that with them. Okay, so I don't know what he's doing with them then. I don't know where he's going with this. And she gave me a long article practically about, in good, fine detail. I mean, this isn't just somebody just threw it off and just say, yeah, it was a good book. I really enjoyed it and was done. I mean, she went into detail of a lot. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I was a little intimidated at first, because when I saw it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a whole list of bad things she didn't like. No, the only one thing and she didn't even say she didn't like it. It wasn't even a knock. It was just common knowledge. It was there. It was the editing. She said the editing could just use a little bit more touch up. I was like, yeah. And I said that in the early going. And I may go back to A Soulless Death one day and retouch up on the editing parts of it. And then there's a part of me that just might leave it. I'm thinking about it, just leaving those books the way they are so people could see my advancements. You know what I mean? That way they can be like, that way no one can ever say, try to go on record and say, oh, well, you know, like if you were to read Melvin's Labyrinth or something, or read some other stuff, and, you know, because you see I don't know what I'm going with this, but you can definitely say that I wrote them, because you can tell where my writing has changed throughout each series. If you were to sit down and read my books from the beginning, you'll see where I changed.
No, Mishka's not short stories. Mishka is a novel. You just follow two different characters back and forth all the way to the end. That's pretty much it. I have 4 collections of short stories. I have Shadows and Keyholes, The Rejected Ones, The Diamond Highway, and Redacted Tales. Those are all short stories.
Yeah, that's quite a bit, Brenda. 15 revisions before she published it.
Oh,
but you know, yeah. Sometimes it's good to do that. It makes you feel better, you know. So I mean, maybe that's something I should have done with my first 2 books, because like The Novelist in the Lake House and The Soulless Death had the funnest psychological twists of all my books. Like they got, I mean, well, Melvin's Labyrinth's up there with it now, but The Novelist in the Lake House is one of the type of books where you sit down and read it and you don't really know. It's that book where you just read it, because if you try to read it and think all this is happening in order, it's going to throw you for a loop, and you go, okay, you know what? I give up on trying to figure out what's what. I'm just going to read it and enjoy it. And I'll go from there, because you're going between a story where the guy has a strong imagination. The woman he's dating's got some strange, bizarre secrets that you don't know until they get to the lake house. He's got strange, bizarre secrets that you kind of are going to be familiar with as the reader. Then you got scenes that comes up that starts to happen without you knowing. And as that chapter comes to an end, you realize, like, there's a section in the book where these things are happening, and then right there towards the end of the chapter, Emily closes the book. So it's like, oh, that was a book. Okay, so she's reading from a book. So it will throw you for a loop. You don't know what to expect. So it's really, and I love the way I did that. I will admit, I think I went in a good direction with that, throwing people around a little bit. And then, of course, the ending's got the biggest psychological twist that I just cannot see no writer on the face of this earth seeing. I just can't see it. I would love to meet, if that person could be honest and saw it and actually literally contacted me before it took place and told me, says, hey, such and such is, you know, whatever, man, I want to meet him. I will meet this person.
yeah, it would be pretty impressive. I haven't read it yet, so we'll see, but I don't think I could either. If you're that confident, I probably can't get it.
Because it's so out there. I mean, I don't even think it's what's the name of that show that came out? A Twilight Zone type thing. I don't even think the Twilight Zone would pick up on it. They're like, whoa, what? I'm serious. It's that big of a twist. I didn't even have that twist in mind until I came down to the final, couple of chapters. And then the twist hit me one day. I'm in here typing, and I'm like, I remember stopping. I remember looking up the ceiling. Wait a minute. Can I do that? And then I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, because this whole book has been that kind of thing where nothing seems real. Everything seems to be a book off of a book off of a book. It's like everything that she's been reading is happening, and because it confuses you, but in a fun way, in a thrilling way, I mean. Because she's reading these things, and it dawns on Emily that the things that she's reading, Brady's been doing those things with her. So she's like, he's acting out his books with me. And then, as you continue to read, you realize he's not acting out those books with her. It's all in her head. And then you read a little bit further, and it's like, it's both. He is doing it, and it's in her head. So it's like, what?
Marianne was just saying that I showed everybody my reference books up above my desk. So I had something there and I lost it. That's kind of a crazy story. What happened was a lot of these books up here I got for free. What happened was a friend of mine's grandmother always wanted to be a writer, and she collected all these reference books and read a handful of them, I'm sure. She unfortunately passed away, And my friend was like, hey, I've got all these reference books, and I don't really know what to do with them. I'm not a writer. I don't know what... She's like, they're all yours if you want them. I was like, yeah, I'll take them. So she came to me with literally a stack of like 15 reference books. And I took all of them, and I've read a bunch of them. And I've accumulated, obviously, some on my own as well.
Nice. And I think, what was it Brenda? She said she couldn't write a psychological thriller.
Brenda, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah. I like psychological thrillers. I really enjoy it. I love to twist and play with people's emotions in their mind. I love to psychologically psych you out. And I used to be like that in sports when I was playing with my friends. I would get out there, we'd play football or something, and I would do the same play 2 or 3 times. And I would get in your head. They'd be like, he's doing the basic stuff. I would literally hear them sometimes say, those that didn't know me yet. And I did it on purpose. I was that kind of guy. And I'd hear him over in the huddle. He's just going to run that one route again. And I would run that same route again. Just to psychologically play with you. And I would do it many times in a row. And then one time, I'd come through in a slant motion, and they know it, and they had 2, 3 people coming over, and all of a sudden, I just bolt this way. And I was fast. I mean, I was like lightning. I'd bolt, and then boom, I'm way out down the field by myself, and bam, I got the ball. And they're like, what? I mess with, just like basketball. We play basketball. I'd go out there and I'd do these different routines. And I was also known for, especially when I showed up against people who never played me, I'd go out there and look really, really, I'm okay. You know, so that way people wouldn't play me as hard. And next thing you know, bam, I take over like out of nowhere. I'm out there playing crazy. They're like, what? So I've always been a psychological psych out kind of guy with everything I've done. And I used to live by this motto. I always told people, just when you think you got me figured out, I'll do something different.
Yeah, if you have questions about Mishka, I can address them. Sure. When does the sequel come out? Is that what you're about to ask? Who knows? I'm like a quarter of the way through, and then I got stuck. And it's not that uncommon. I got stuck a bunch of times on the first one, so it might take me a while. That's all. I know. The super secret project has actually taken precedent over the sequel for now, but we'll get it done eventually, I'm sure. So I had the same problem with the first one, like I put it down a bunch of times.
When I go to read Crossroads, what would y'all rather hear? Would y'all rather hear the prologue or chapter 1? They're short. They're not really long at all. And that's because I got to make this book fit a certain criteria. Because if I'm not careful and don't pay attention, I'll Jeffrey Harris the mess out of this book, and next thing you know, it's a 380-page book. And I'm not trying to do that because everybody else has got it up to between 140 and 170 kind of page number right in there. So I'm trying to keep it in. I'm going to try to do like a 160, kind of keep it average with everybody. Ah, crap, I didn't want to show that. This TikTok. I mean, it's not alcohol. It's a root beer, but it's just TikTok is weird, and I don't know if they see the word beer, they're going to freak out on us. So, if y'all see me going to the camera, I'm doing that.
As far as a hint towards the super secret project, it's kind of hard to like explain because it is a book, so that part's not a secret. The secret part is it's a book that's part of something bigger. That's the secret that I can't. What I can tell you is that there are more projects to come, and not all of them will be from me. And the other people that they will come from, you will know them all by name. Basically, everybody in here knows all of them by name. That's pretty much the extent of what I can tell you for now.
Nice. And yeah, Sherry, you're right. TT freaks out over anything.
Oh, it sure does.
I'm just trying to be, if it were my live, I probably wouldn't care. But trying to be on someone else's, I'm trying to be careful. But, but if y'all want, I'll go ahead and read y'all the prologue. I'll go ahead and say what you were going to say, though.
It's funny that Brenda says an anthology because there is supposed to be one of those too. So you already know my book, Redacted Tales. Well, there's going to be a volume 2 of this from the podcast, and Shay and Mike Minicky are going to be in it. So you're technically right, there is an anthology coming, but that's not the super secret project. That's pretty public, actually. Yeah, I'm going to take a handful of stories from the podcast, and I'm going to put them together in a volume 2. I haven't selected which... There's going to be 10 of them. I haven't selected which 10 I want to do yet. So I'm kind of torn as to which ones are going to make it as of right now. I know for sure that I want Shay's and I want Mike's. And I was supposed to have a short story written for it as well, but I haven't done it yet. I haven't finished it yet, I should say. Yeah, I could probably tell you the super secret project later this year. Depending on where the other members are when we get further along. But go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
Oh, no hurry. I'm not rushing at all. I'm going to let y'all know before I start on this. I'm going to set this over here so I can see the screen. So we're going back to the old days, back to the corners. Some of the lines in the prologue, any of you are familiar with Mike Minicky's version of Next Move, yeah. If you're familiar with his version, you'll hear some of the words from his book, which I've seen the other authors do this. So I did this too because Kristen did it, where she took lines from his book, put them in her book, and so forth. So just letting y'all know, some of these lines are from, especially when he gets to the subject where it involves, hold on, what was his name? David? I think it was David. Yeah, David. The lines with David and such, these are Mike Minicky's lines, but they're added to the, you'll see what I mean, but I'll go ahead and start it. This is called the prologue. So, here we go. A gentle, almost pleasant knock first sounded against the wood. It wasn't until the second knock echoed through the room, bolder and unmistakably deliberate, that Mr. Wilburn finally looked up. Jack Wilburn, the elderly man, sat in his chair, glancing toward the front door with a sly smile. He was already aware of who was on the other side and the reason for their knocking. Without a word, Mr. Wilburn locked his piercing gaze on the young boy Mark, standing nearby with a bottle of beer in his hand. Mark froze. The silent warning was unmistakable. Remain quiet and stay out of sight. Who do you think it is? He asked in a near whisper before gulping his beer. Mr. Wilburn responded with a sly grin. It's likely one of them from next door, probably here to retrieve that troublesome brat soccer ball. Following the third knock, which reverberated throughout the darkened home, Mr. Wilburn rose from his chair to make his way to the front door. Inside, hardly any sunlight pierced the window, swallowed whole by thick curtains and old musty blankets. The third knock finally broke the silence. Mr. Wilburn cleared his throat and demanded to know who stood on his porch. He scraped his cane across the hardwood floor, hoping to alert whoever was knocking that he was an elderly man with limited mobility. Who is it? He called out, his voice sounding stern yet weary. My name is David. I am staying next door and was wondering if I could speak with you for a minute. David spoke loudly, not knowing how well Mr. Wilburn could hear. We are speaking now. Mr. Wilburn ignored the persistent knock. He had no intention of opening the door. He knew exactly what the man on his porch wanted. It was all about the neighbor's brat kicking that soccer ball into his property, and he was entirely out of patience. Yes, well, I was hoping we could speak face to face. Mr. Wilburn shook his head, the irritation bleeding into a scowl. He simply didn't have the patience to debate property lines and broken glass with the man standing on his porch. You hope wrong, now go away. Look, I'm not here to cause any trouble. My son came home hurt after kicking his ball in your yard. My wife Cynthia and I... Suddenly, the world around Mr. Wilburn shifted, and time ceased its forward march. The past came rushing back to him, causing his eyes to shine in the dark. The thought of Cynthia's return to town warmed his soul, uplifting his spirit like a long-forgotten joy. Cynthia? He mumbled aloud, catching the man's ear as he stood on the porch from the other side of the door. In the shadows, Mark stood, still clutching the nearly depleted bottle of beer he had been gulping down, hoping to wash away the memories that clung to him like the foul odor that lingered in Mr. Wilburn's residence. The walls seemed to bounce Cynthia's name back at him as Mr. Wilburn shrieked it out in a manic frenzy. He never heard such raw joy in the old man's voice, not unless he was talking about his late wife, Belinda. Why had that name Cynthia slipped off the old man's tongue with such weight? It was spoken as though she alone held the key to everything. Unwilling to dwell on it without first uncovering the name's history, Mark forced himself to be patient. He loitered quietly, allowing the old man to conclude his conversation with the neighbor before broaching the subject. It sent a shiver through Mark's spine to hear that name spoken so plainly. He could not help but wonder if this was the very scenario the old man had hinted at when speaking of chess, the final move required to resolve the game. The elderly Jack Wilburn had made grand promises to Mark, and he was resolute in his intention to ensure the old man kept his word. Offering promises of ancient magic and the silent maneuvers of chess, he sought to prepare him for the future. He would teach him the virtues of patience and the art of outwitting enemies in the greatest contest of their time. The old man's favorite teaching was that learning the game and bold strategies of chess unlocks other methods to unraveling such majestic abilities against opponents, whatever that was supposed to mean. His sudden cry of Cynthia still hanging in the air, Mr. Wilburn pulled the front door ajar, only wide enough to reveal a sliver of his face to the neighbor. CYD has returned home? When? The man's voice was clear. Was clearer with the door partially open, but still sounded like rocks grinding together. We arrived yesterday morning. David was caught off guard by the sudden interest in Cynthia. He shook his head to clear his thoughts. Listen, as I was saying, my son Bobby kicked his ball into your yard and came home hurt. He said you tried to hit him with your cane. Mr. Wilburn didn't respond at first. He just looked in the direction of Cynthia's parents' house, appearing lost in thought. Suddenly his eyes snapped back to David. What cane? David began to point at Mr. Wilburn's hands, but there was nothing in them. He could have sworn he had heard that cane earlier tapping on the floor, but he couldn't remember seeing it when Mr. Wilburn opened the door. You got me there, old man. I had to play it off. I needed to stop harboring the sheer fact of Cynthia's return and avoid giving myself away. Not that her husband would have the slightest clue what was actually happening. I didn't see your son. I did, however, find a soccer ball in one of my windows broken. Now that you have admitted that it was indeed your son that kicked the ball, I expect you will be paying for it. Mr. Wilburn pointed a gnarled finger at him. Damn, he's good. I could have used a man like him at my law firm. Send me the bill when you get it. Until then, may I have my son's soccer ball back? No. David watched the door slam in front of his face. Sighing, he went home to explain to his wife how he had gotten outwitted by the crypt keeper. Choosing to hold his tongue regarding Cynthia, Mark waited patiently for Mr. Wilburn to broach the subject. He lingered in the shadows, his eyes fixed steadily on the old man. Mark watched from the kitchen entryway. Mr. Wilburn stood near the front door, lost in obvious contemplation. Mark could practically see the gears grinding in his head, strategizing every angle of his plan. Mr. Wilburn suddenly turned his sharp gaze toward Mark, gesturing urgently for him to follow. Come, boy, he said, his voice dropping. There's something you need to know. Ascending the staircase led to the altar room, the very heart of the house. Inside, Mr. Wilburn and his late wife had once guarded their most closely kept items, sacred artifacts vibrating with the magic of the generations past. I stood close by studying the strange items inside, standing shoulder to shoulder with the old man. Just as he'd promised, he was finally going to begin my teachings in the ways of magic. Before the old man could speak, Mark noticed his intense gaze locked onto the chessboard. In the gloom of the room, the polished ebony pieces gleamed with a quiet menace against the stark black squares. Closer inspection revealed a breathtaking detail. The entire chessboard and its glistening pieces were hewn from luminous mother of pearl. Mark stared at the peculiar chessboard. A raw foreign energy vibrated through the air, unlike anything he had known in this house or around the old man. The intensity of it was overwhelming, a magnetic pull that bit at his lips, begging him to unlock the secrets driving at the very core of his mind. A fierce yearning took hold of him, compelling him to uncover the board's deepest secrets. It called to his spirit, not as a whisper, but as a sudden, overpowering chorus of 1,000 desperate voices clamoring for his attention. The old man shot Mark a knowing smirk. He looked as though he could see the frantic thoughts burrowing through Mark's mind, or perhaps he was simply attuned to the raw magic swirling just beneath Mark's skin. Be warned, he said, his eyes glinting. The magic of this board is far beyond your comprehension, boy. The thought shot through Mark's very essence, illuminating the future like a flash of lightning. It was a terrifying truth he could not bring himself to admit. He saw it all. A woman from the old man's family, perhaps his daughter, would become his wife. United, they would conjure a magic that dwarfed anything Jack and Belinda had ever known. I can't explain it, but I feel as if this board is trying to relay a message, Mark commented. It is the magic of the board, boy, the old man replied with a knowing glance. It possesses magic greater than almost anything I have ever encountered. Mark struggled to find a way to explain this to Mr. Wilburn. He felt the weight of what he had already learned, but his intuition warned him that the old man was completely blind to the thoughts he was unraveling. The tension snapped, and before he knew it, He lashed out with a question. Where did you get this, or where did this board come from, I mean? Mr. Wilburn watched intently as a wave of light flashed across the board, the artifact seemingly vibrating with memories it longed to release. Uncle Fred gave this to me, Wilburn said, his voice dropping to a whisper. He warned me never to use it against an actual opponent. It was meant for practice only. Mark stole a glance at Mr. Wilburn. The older man hadn't spoken, yet he wore a look that told Mark everything. He had completely disregarded his uncle's advice, and he played against someone anyway. Where did your uncle get the board? He asked. Mr. Wilburn's eyes shifted in color, as if reflecting the gleaming light of the chessboard. The pieces lay scattered across the board, silent witnesses to a recently abandoned match. When I was 11, my uncle gifted me this board during the holidays. It was only later that I would realize this board ushered in a series of events that changed my uncle's life. However, he struggled to cope with the magic it possessed, Mr. Wilburn said, clearing his scratchy throat. Uncle Fred was facing hard times, feeling utterly defeated, until he stumbled upon the crossroads. There you go.
Well. Beautiful. Beautiful.
The thing is also, if y'all have read Wrong Move by, I'm about to say Clarence Lloyd, by Kristen Moran, I actually took the things that she mentioned in that book with Mark, the magic, how the old man was supposed to teach him the ancient magic and stuff. I actually took those things out of that book. So basically, this prologue is in the middle of her book surrounding Mike's book. And then when we get into, of course, talking about Uncle Fred, which was created by Shay, and as the story goes, this is going to be a prequel before Jack, the old man, and Belinda and all of them. But Jack will be in this book. He's going to be a kid. You will, in this book, I'm going to throw it at you. I mean, it's not a spoiler alert, but I will throw it at you. It will make mention in the book when Uncle Fred gives Jack the board. I will tell you all that just to let you know it's going to be in the book.
Oh, good. Yeah, the comment section's on fire. I can hardly keep up.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, I'll tell you.
Fumble.
Yeah, right. My thumb wouldn't come back to me. My thumb stayed on the tablet. That was weird. But thank you. I appreciate it, Brenda. But yeah, I'm just glad no one's asked me yet, and I don't want no one to ask me because I really do not have an answer. Even if I was silently talking to somebody, and keeping secrets, don't tell nobody, I wouldn't have an answer. But if anybody was asking me, which is your favorite so far out of the Move series, from Mike Menike's to Kristen, Shay's, Clarence, I couldn't tell you because each one of those books, and this is me just being truthfully speaking, each one of them brings out something that's enjoyable, that just sucks you right in. Like Mike's, for example, I like how he brought in the whole magic, the artifact, the witch-like, the mysteriousness of the house, because you don't know about Jack yet, really. He's got you believing his wife's in that house, if you read that book. So it's really creepy. Then when you read Shay's version, she throws you, you kind of already have an idea of what's probably going to happen, but then she'll throw you for a loop because she's kind of likes to play that psychological game with people as well. And hers has got a good twist on when, it's hard to explain it. It's got a twist in a different approach of like years later. And then you got Clarence's version. He takes you down the road in the myths and legends, which really was unique and really fun. And then, of course, Kristen, she takes you down a psychological, majestic type road, if that makes sense. So each one of these authors is sending you somewhere different with the same like story aspect. So it's really unique and it's very fun.
Good. Normally, my books just find their way into the garbage.
No. Nobody's going to throw away a book from a good author.
They're using them for coasters.
No. I think the only way they would do that is if, well, of course, I don't want to get on that topic, but with the way people are with politics, if they find out you're following somebody or something in a political field, they'll want to burn your stuff, which I never understood that. I don't care about people's political views and all that. If I like what you got, I ain't got to care about your views. Just like, for example, if there's a reader and I really, or an author, for example, and I really love their books, I don't really care about what they do in real life. I'm reading the book. I don't, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. So I don't care about that other stuff.
No, it's not a group movie. That would be interesting if we could pull that off, but no, unfortunately not. I would love to have Jeff on the set if we could ever do it, but he lives pretty far away.
Yeah, I would love to. The only way I could pull something off like that, but it wouldn't look good unless they could take the footage and, like, I don't know the best word to use, like not reroute it, but redefine the footage, because I don't really have any cameras that I could send to that. I mean, I technically do. The only camera I have is like the old camcorders, the old, like the ones with took the little 8mm tapes.
Yeah.
That's about all I got. And of course a tablet or internet, using a camera. But that's, like some kind of a footage you can send to them, and then they can kind of take it. And, I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. But
Yeah. Some of us do plan on getting together next year, but even it's not that I don't have anything to talk about, it's that we don't have any solid plan yet. We don't know exactly who is going to be there. We want all of us to meet up surrounding a book festival or something, some kind of signing. As far as I know, as of right now, it's like myself, Mike Binnicky, Shay Smith, Krista Moran, and Jay Michael, I think, are the ones that are talking about it, but it's just talk right now, and we haven't even decided a place. So.
yeah, I've been hearing them talk about it quite a bit too on Mike's end, but
Yeah. But even that's just talk for now. All right. You guys got any other questions, any other recommendations before we wrap this up? I think I'm going to wrap it up at 9.
what time is it? Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've been at this for almost 2 hours.
Yeah. This might be why people don't come to my lives no more. They're like, he does long lives. I lose track of time. I just get to talking, and I don't think. Now, if I got other guests, I usually will stick with the time. I'll talk to them ahead of time and let them know, stick like, yeah.
And like we were saying earlier, we're talking about doing this on a more permanent basis. So Sunday nights,
Yeah.
and then maybe we'll have other people come up and do our thing.
That
But
would be fun. We could do that. I do want to start using your help too, also with the whole interviewing. I am thinking about going that route, kind of way with my way Clint and Shay do with the impromptu. I was thinking about we do something like that, turn it around and make something different, kind of go with some guide rules with it, make it look professional so we can interview other, because I'm going to try to start back getting a lot of other authors up here and start interviewing again.
yeah.
I slowed down on the internet because I wasn't sure about my internet stuff at the time, but I got all that taken care of. So
As of right now, we've been reposting these on the YouTube channel, on my Redacted Tales YouTube channel. I think there's already 2, maybe 3 of these that we've done. I think it's 2 already up there. So if you want to go back and listen to Jeff and I slackjaw and yammer on forever.
yeah, we do need Marianne, and yeah, Brenda, I definitely agree. I love interviewing authors. We got to get you up here sometime, Brenda. And Marianne, yeah, I was thinking about wanting to come up with a name too. Maybe me and Clarence can talk about it and come up with a name for our thing. Because Clarence, if he contacts any authors or something, he can get it with me and say, hey, I got us an author schedule for if you want to do it on Wednesday night, something like that. Definitely. It's kind of what I would like to do.
I was honestly just thinking about making it as an expansion of Redacted Tales. I mean,
Yeah, that's fine.
we've already laid. Oh, don't give us that, Brenda. You and I sat on a live together for like an hour and a half. Don't give me that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about doing lives either at one point, Brenda. It took me a long time before I started doing these. I finally worked up the courage. Last year I did 1 or 2. I mean, other than being a guest, I'm talking about my own live. I did maybe 1 or 2. I was just kind of weirded out by it because when I got on, it's like nobody was over there, maybe 1, 2 people, and I just kind of felt like this is just not going to work for me. But then as time went on, I met some other authors, and they kept telling me, almost every one of them told me, said, hey, for months, I've always had 2 or 3. Then it would boost to 4 or 5. Then it went to 6, 7, 8. And I got some live sessions where I've had up to 12 people on some nights. I've had 10 for quite a bit. We've had pretty good tonight. We've had 6, 7, and 8 for quite a bit tonight. So I mean, it just varies on day. Some days I've actually got up here and had 3 or 4 people. So I mean, it just varies on who's on and what we're talking about. Yeah. And it does seem to be better when you got 2 people up there, and especially I think crisscrossing between 2 and talking and reading, and that kind of helps.
Did I see your thing about another indie? I think so. Yeah.
What did I say?
Yeah, you guys are welcome to. We should probably think about who we're gonna have next week.
Yeah. I got to get back up with. I forgot her name now.
We already had one with Ted.
Yeah. I've done one with him last month. I think it was. Or it was May. It was either May or June. I think it was. No, it was June. It was June. I think it was. I had an interview with him on a Saturday. Then we also shot one, me and him together, and then I've also brought him back up here on 2 different occasions where he just, showed up for fun for a little while.
Yeah. Ted's fun. She liked the Mishka post. Awesome. There's a trailer for Mishka. If you look in my pinned videos here on TikTok, there's a trailer for Redacted Tales, there's a trailer for Mishka, and there's a trailer for maybe Shadows and Keyholes, I think. I just had that trailer done for Redacted Tales like last week. Or yeah, that sounds right. Last week. Or the Diamond Highway. I think the Diamond Highway was up there.
And just to let y'all know, as soon as I'm finished with Crossroads and I get it turned in to Stephanie James, I'm going to go back to finishing up on my psychological thriller romance novel, which I still don't have a title for it. I probably don't come up with a title until halfway to when I'm done, maybe. But once I finish that, I'm going to go back to horror for a little bit. I'm probably do a collection story, kind of like what he's got with Redacted Tales, do a collection of different stories, branching off, different scary tales. Mm-hmm. And after that, I'll see where I'm going after that. But pretty much that's my next 3 projects, or counting what I'm doing now, those are my 3 projects as of now for the future. If anything changes, I'll definitely keep people posted on it.
Brenda wants you to write romance.
Talking about you or me?
I think she's talking about you.
I can do it.
Yeah, you could. What else did I have to say?
I probably will. Though. Both.
I have written romance in the past. We're not going to talk too much at length about that, but I did do a little experiment once upon a time to see if I could.
Yeah. I was going to make the book that was currently working on, I was going to make it kind of a basic romance a little bit with a little bit of a thriller to it. But dang, as soon as I wrote chapter 1, I realized, man, I'm going psychological with this. And then when I got into chapter 2, it just got deeper. Then when I got to 3 and 4, which I cannot read chapters, I think it's 3 and 4 on here now because they kept flagging me. So I was like, I'm going to have to leave chapters 3 and 4 alone and just stick with chapters 1 and 2. I could do chapters 3 and 4, I just can't do it live. I'll probably have to make side videos for those. So if anybody ever wants to hear, I might do a video for it later in the near future. But yeah. I was thinking about doing little, not like spoiler alert chapters, kind of like what we do on here. Do like chapter 1 or 2, maybe up to 4 or 5, and then stop it. But I'm thinking about doing different chapters off of random books, like Melvin's Labyrinth, for example. But I was thinking, instead of you seeing me reading, I was thinking about starting off the video where I introduce blah, blah, blah. And then when it does the chapter read, I'll have pictures and little videos popping up. So it'll keep your eyes entertained while you're listening. It'll go with the story. Like, I figured the pictures I put up there matches what I'm reading. So if I'm reading chapter 1, Melvin's Labyrinth, I'll try to put some of the stuff on Melvin, some of the stuff that I've posted with this book, a wreck scene, maybe show the car being wrecked, or something like that. So, yeah.
When I do the live readings, I'm always like, people are just staring at me, staring at the page. It's a little weird. Part of me wants to shut the camera off so you guys have something else to look at. Also,
yeah, I get like that too.
Throughout a lot of this live and a lot of my lives in general, people see me look up there. They must think I'm like out of my mind or something. But what you guys can't see is on this top shelf where those reference books are is like an antique clock. And when the pendulum starts to lose momentum, this like little trigger thing pushes and it makes a noise. And for whatever reason, my mind hasn't gotten used to it. So when it makes that noise, I look up there at it. So I've done it like 10 times in this interview. Yeah. Yeah, it's an antique clock.
Yeah.
And the time it doesn't keep time very well anymore. So it kind of lags behind. No, Monique's not in here right now. I did think about writing a story surrounding that clock. I haven't done it yet, but it's kind of the opposite of what happened with Cathedral. So I did not get this radio until long after the original story had been written. I didn't get this until we started to get ready to film. But I got this antique clock, and I was thinking there is a story there. I just haven't pieced it all together in my head yet.
I got 4 chapters in on this book so far, and it may not sound like much, but for these books being short, that's, yeah. But remember the lyrics I sent you, what was it, yesterday? I was talking about the lyrics. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. Yeah, it was the day before yesterday. I was nervous about, well, I'm going to use some of that, but then I came up with this new song lyric today. Yeah, it was today. I actually wrote it down on the thing up here so I won't lose it. Because there's a scene, I want Fred, they're watching fireworks. Yeah, believe it or not, I actually added this in yesterday. I mean, of all days to add that scene in, because I was in here writing for a bit yesterday. It's actually the 4th of July in the book. So they're kind of at a 4th of July bash, having a couple beers, they're having dinners, a bunch of kids, everybody, it's not like a drunken party, it's a bash, it's like a cookout kind of thing. And they're actually out watching fireworks, and I haven't wrote this yet, this is just my idea so far, but they're out watching fireworks, and of course, it's nighttime. Fred's staring up, and all of a sudden he hears this guy with the guitar, the old blues music, the old 30s style stuff, and he's hearing this, and it's like, you can find him there at night. And it's like, all you have to do is meet him there. And Fred's turning and he's watching. He's like, what is going on? And it's like, just bring your troubles and your desires. He just may help you then. You can meet him at the crossroads. He will be there at night. Of course, I'm not done. I'm still adding. But he's hearing him sing this. And he's like, what's going on? And what's odd is there's a certain something that happens with a certain someone. Fred's in there, and there's a whole bunch of people eating. There's a music playing. It's loud. But it's like everything just went, just shut down, quiet. And this person, and I'm not going to say who this is because this is a spoiler. So But there's a certain person, just all of a sudden, this person's talking to a group of friends, just suddenly stops and looks right at him. I mean, in a room full of people, made straight eye contact with Fred and says, what was it he says again? Hold on. Let me make sure. Oh, it says, you can find him at the crossroads. And about that moment, the noise and everything kicks back in, and Fred just kind of snaps out of this. And then it's like moments later that night, I mean, he's watching fireworks, and he hears this guy over there singing the blues, singing this music that has to do with the crossroads. And he's like, and he looks at his friend Tommy, which is in the book, and he's like, you hear him? And when Tommy looks over, there's no one over there. And when Fred looks again, there's no guy with a guitar. There's no one over there. So it's creepy. So this is where the book will start taking that turn for the creepiness. So it's crazy. I'm telling you, everybody, I really have a strong feeling you're going to love this book. This is a dark book to a degree with the whole myths and legends of Crossroads. It's like it's yearning for him. Come on over. Come on down to the crossroads. I can help you. So, yeah, there's going to be quite a few lines where he meets, like there was a scene I was thinking in my head where he's walking downtown and he's like this little girl's doing a jump rope. I think they had jump ropes there. Of course, I'm going to do my research to make sure. The little kids are playing, and all of a sudden he hears them saying, the crossroads. You can meet him there. And he's like, why am I hearing this all of a sudden? So it's kind of like the fate of the world is calling for him, or whatever you want to call it, the dark man or whatever it is that waits for you on the crossroads is calling for him because he knows he's at his crossroads, metaphorically speaking. So let's bring you on down here spiritually, and we will help you get back on track.
Hell yeah. What else? Do you have any recommendations for next week's reads? Anybody want to hear anything specific? Anybody interested in... Does anybody care? I was thinking about reading this short story from Shadows and Keyholes. No, from Shadows and Keyholes.
Have you ever read anything out of Rejected Ones? I'm trying to remember if you ever read one to me or not. I want to say you did, but
I don't know. Maybe.
Hold on.
Maybe.
All right, I know one story you read about the writer, which was the doll, which that's from Redacted Tales, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you've read Ruin, which you've done that twice now, but of course I've also read it. There's another story you did. Of course, I know you read chapter 1 of Without Saying Goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I could have sworn there is another one you read, and I'm not sure if it came from Rejected Ones or not, but yeah.
Has your package arrived yet?
No. It takes time for some... Why, what is it?
I can... You already know what's in the package. Breeze has already arrived. Breeze has got there, like, way before yours.
Huh, that's weird. Well, I mean, it's like when Shay sent me a copy of her book, Sour, and I ain't gonna lie to you, it felt like it was a month before it ever got here.
Oh, let me see this here. All right, we'll go down. We're gonna go down the list and see if anything jumps out at you. What?
No, I was just trying to remember where Shay was. I think she's in Indiana. She's
yeah, Indiana.
Would you be considered further away from me than you, or would you be further away?
I think I'm still further away.
Might be, yeah, because I think you're way up on the corner. Yeah. So it'll probably take a little while.
See if any of these jump out at you. If you want to hear any of these next week, because we're about to wrap up today. Regretful Reproach, The Sins of Our Fathers, I Love You Too, Stranger, Morally Gray, False Memories, The Black Hat Society, The Ticket Men, Where Broken Toys Go, Cathedral, or Encore.
Cathedral. That's the one you read. You read Cathedral, I think it was.
Yeah, I might have.
I think you read the story of Cathedral, which, I don't mind hearing these again, to be honest with you, so yeah.
So, well, Black Hat Society. So the cool thing about Black Hat Society, Black Hat Society was based off of a dream. The Ticket Men was also based off of a dream. I'm trying to remember which ones. Encore was based off of a dream. I want to say there's one more. It might have been Morally Gray, I think. So 4 stories out of this collection were all based off of dreams.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't wrote anything based off of dreams lately. I have put a few ideas from some of the dreams in a couple of these, but now this book that I'm writing now, which is odd how the ideas are just generating so easily. Like I was just meant for this book. I'm sitting there writing it. I'm just so excited. I feel like a kid. Like it's fun. Like I'm telling you, I wanted to read more of these chapters to everybody. I really want everybody to hear this out. I might do one tomorrow night too, chapter 2 probably tomorrow, or chapter 1 and 2 tomorrow night. But I'll probably stop it there though. I don't want to give it away too much. I don't want to, ruin the fun. I'm going to try to get Stephanie James if she can to come up on the live tomorrow night, to come in and be able to listen so she can hear out what I've got so far and see what she thinks.
Yeah. I do not have the original lineup for the Rejected Ones. I hope it's in a trash heap somewhere. All right, everybody. We got to start wrapping it up.
Yep.
Jeff, tell everybody who you are, where you are, what you have, where they can find you.
Y'all can find me right here on the Talk Tick. All my books are basically on the Zon, paperback, Kindle Unlimited, and Of course, like I said, I'm working on this book for Steffi James Publishing. Once I'm done with it, I'll jump back onto my psychological thriller romance, and then we'll go from there. I'll probably do a horror series of different branch-off stories.
Thanks for showing up, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for the likes. We appreciate it.
I'm Clarence Carter. You can find my links in the bio in the doodly doos. You can find me at clarencecarterauthor.com. All of my books are on the Zon, the Kindle, so on and so forth.
Anyway, y'all have a great night. Be safe. See y'all. I'll probably be on tomorrow night, or we'll come back together, whichever.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Take care.